do the worst.
It paled him in the chest.
Anybody who had the ball, you're dead.
It's like she's a demon lady. I'm gonna be honest with you. Swing at the World family. I'm back with the 3 knuckleheads that also are busting people up out there. Y'all know what it is. Sometimes the world hits you in the lip. Sometimes you gotta bust its lip back. We back with some big stories this week, and man, listen, I don't want to make this the Sexy Red and the Blueface show, but every week they find a way up into the topics. And this week, I was all hyped up to come out and say, we don't got no Blueface and no Sexy Red. And Knucklehead A beside me said, well, wait a minute, she's pregnant. Sexy Red just announced on her Instagram that she's pregnant. Now, crazy to you?
Yeah.
This chick's posting videos of her laid up with random dudes. To me, it's crazy she don't already got triplets.
Yeah,
It was inevitable, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this was gonna happen.
She literally just said she's sucking in her stomach because she's pregnant. That's all she said.
I wonder if she's trolling. I wonder if she's trolling.
She could be
That's a hell of a troll, though, ain't it?
Yeah.
We're gonna find out real quick.
Yeah, I gotta know, man.
I sucked my belly and I was tired of faking.
Ooh. Okay. We'll never know. Look, I want to say this. When it comes to people in hip-hop, you got 2 types of hip-hop stars. You got hip-hop stars that fake the funk on every level, and they really are just regular dudes rapping about stuff they've never did. Then you got hip-hop stars that live the shit they rap about, okay? Tupac would be one of them. There's many guys over the years that I can tell you about. There's a guy named Big Lurch from Dallas. He was a rapper. Now, Big Lurch was up and coming back in the day. And he was cool with Spice One and some of them other big-time gangster rappers. He decided he was with his homeboy and his homeboy's girlfriend one night. And they started smoking dust. For you youngins that don't know what dust is, it is a scary drug. Trust me, I can tell you some stories about it. Anyways, he smokes dust. The girl, his homeboy ends up leaving. Bad mistake. Nobody knows what happens, but an hour later they find Big Lurch walking butt naked along the streets, eating the girl's liver.
Holy shit.
Damn.
And he was covered in blood. And they went back and he had murdered and cannibalized his friend's girlfriend. If you go listen to his lyrics, he was dark. Because he was dark.
Well,
he was a dark person.
You know, he was, look, man.
Yeah.
Only thing I can say is if I see a grown man walking the streets, butt-ass naked, eating a liver,
You know, maybe take a step to the right.
I think I might just walk the other way. I don't have nothing to do that day, so I'm going to go the other way.
So we got Big Lurch. That's an extreme case of a rapper living his lyrics.
The Baby is another one.
The Baby lives his lyrics.
Killed a man in Walmart.
Yeah, he does what he raps
Wasn't
about.
that out of self-defense, though?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
But still,
Sound like the dude ran up on him, though, right? He did say, you run up on me,
Well,
this is what's going to happen.
he had to use self-defense because he had so much beef out there in the world. So either way, he's living what he raps about.
Still, yeah.
Then you got Eazy E, which is going to bring me into my thoughts on Sexy Red. Eazy E, it was known, dude. Back when he was alive, everybody knew he was knocking down females left and right. Like, it was rumored that he had slept with thousands of women. So when it came out that he had AIDS, at first everybody thought that maybe it was a publicity stunt because it was such a known fact how many women he was sleeping with. Then once we found out it wasn't a publicity stunt, we were like, oh, surprise, surprise. You know, it was known. Yeah. He was smashing that many women. So now, when we find out Sexy Red's pregnant, there's no surprise there. I'm not shocked by it. I'm shocked that she doesn't have a tribe of children already.
Or at least that it didn't happen sooner.
Right. She already admitted she had chlamydia at one point. So, you know, I'll just say this with Sexy Red. I wish her the best. She is, look, y'all, she's I won't say my favorite rapper right now, but the one that I'm most drawn to. I just find her so entertaining. And I follow her on Insta. I'm always watching stuff. I was probably one of the first person that's seen her sex tape on her Instagram story. Not by choice. I just follow her.
Do you like her music?
I do. You know what?
Yeah, I can.
I don't like it to the sense that I would bump it in my ride.
Right.
But I like it because I can tell she's living her truth. You know, and I think she's putting out trashy mindset to the youth, but she's living her truth, you know. So for me, I was brought up on the concept back in the 90s, if you were a rapper and they felt you weren't true to what you were saying, they would run you out of the industry. Vanilla Ice came out, he was the biggest rapper on earth. Then when they found out he wasn't really from the streets of Miami, oh, you got to go.
You might remember a rapper by the name of Slim Jesus.
I do.
Slim Jesus.
Now look,
Yes.
everybody's laughing, but to
Legendary.
me, Slim Jesus is a real one. And here's why. Because
He admitted that
he did. He
yeah.
did. He came out, he's like, look, I don't really live what I'm rapping about. I just rap.
And I can respect
I
that.
can, definitely. You know, and he stopped. I think he did stop, but he's not in the spotlight like that anymore.
Well, let's be clear. When he came out and admitted that, his streams and everything fell off a cliff almost instantly.
Yeah.
Which is odd to me because young people of today, I see you allowing a lot of fakes to exist in the hip hop community, okay? Why did you run Slim Jesus off? Let him join the fake crew. 6ix9ine Tekashi still has a career. That tells you all you need to know.
How is he still alive? And I don't even wish death on people, but how is he still alive?
He's
Yeah.
the biggest troll out there.
Let me say this. When you say how is he still alive,
Security.
security is a great
Lots
answer.
of security.
Although the night that Pac was
I was
killed,
gonna
he
say
had
Tupac
a
had security.
caravan of security. I will say he's alive right now. Here's a good example. I don't know if you young men have seen the movie Paid in Full.
I've seen it, yeah.
One of my favorite movies
There'd
of all
be a
time.
rock
It's about Alpo Martinez, Money Making Mitch, etc., etc., etc. The real life guy from that, Alpo, who was played by Cameron, he was a savage in the streets. That's known. He murdered his own boy. That's known. He snitched on everybody. That's known. He got out of prison, even though he confessed to several murders, because he snitched. Everybody said, how is this known snitch going to make it? He did make it for 3 years, then he got smoked. He got smoked.
Yeah.
The point is, 6ix9ine's making it right now, okay?
I want to add, though, was the internet and stuff as prevalent, you know, like, was people on Instagram Live troll? Like, he just seems to be trolling more than anybody
Of course
I've
it
ever
wasn't.
seen.
It wasn't, but let me be clear. Even though the internet's big and everybody's on the internet, when Pac put out Hit 'Em Up, you could not get away from that song.
Yeah.
It was put out everywhere. They were going into radio stations saying, play this shit.
Yeah.
It was put out everywhere. So even though you're not scrolling and seeing it everywhere, with Pac's Hit 'Em Up, you were seeing it on TV, you were hearing it on the radio, so it was still around.
So you think his time is coming?
I hope not, because I don't want to see young men
Right.
murdered.
Of course.
But I think his days could be numbered. He's stepped on a lot of toes.
Well, I recognize that there's a system, especially in the streets. You don't even got to be in the streets to know that you can't just go mess around and do dumb shit.
No.
Cross real people in the streets.
Well, and those guys that he put, look, the fastest way to get killed, and this is what people don't understand, you take 6ix9ine, he testified in a federal RICO indictment. Young men, I've been in federal court before. This is what they say to you. The United States of America versus 6ix9ine Tekashi. You know when you go to court in the city of Harrisonburg,
Yeah.
the United States of America.
Which means they're on your ass.
They
too.
on that ass. Well, 6ix9ine testified in that, and he got several people life sentences. And it's not them that's going to get him. It's their angry family members and their angry friends. You sent somebody's loved ones away for life.
Nearly. That's
Right. You know, make no mistake. No matter what he puts out on social media, he's careful when he goes back into NYC. He knows
you
better.
remember he did that video in O Block, right? But it turns out he actually only popped out for like literally 5 seconds.
Like 3 a.m. on the edge.
Yeah, and drove back in his car and drove off. Like, it's just goofy.
Bruh.
I'm in there and just left.
Listen, I'll say this. I don't purport to be a G, okay? Maybe an ex-knucklehead, but not a G. And me and my family went to the worst neighborhood in Oakland and was out there walking through, hey, let's stop and get some soda, walking the street, you know, like it was nothing. We went to South Central Los Angeles, Compton, all that. Now, I'm not a hood tourist, let me be clear why I did that. I grew up on West Coast hip hop. All those places have been rapped about. I wanted to see them. But I didn't go out there like, yeah, I'm in the hood. What's up? Blah, blah, blah. But still, you ain't getting no points for just randomly showing up in the hood and saying what's up. If 6ix9ine walked through the hood at 2 a.m., hung around, waited till some youngins came out, ran up on some hard heads, then you did something.
Yeah.
But you didn't do nothing. You had a photo op. Anyways, shout out to Sexy Red. Congratulations on your pregnancy. I do hope, young lady, that if, you know, your pregnancy goes well, you settle down a little for the sake of the baby. You still got to have a career, but balance that. Speaking of ladies in the media, that I got one lady in the media that I love to see. I got another lady in the media that I'm freaking disgusted with. If I see her face one more time on my Instagram, my Facebook, I may stroke out. Jada Pinkett Smith.
Yo, I'm tired of her.
And
Bro,
I'm just say this, right?
Oh man.
She is actually the worst wife in the world.
Ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
Somebody need a backhander.
Yeah.
You see
Listen.
all that shit she's coming out saying about Tupac? She said, "Oh, Tupac wrote me letters or something from jail and was talking about opera." Yeah. She's crazy as hell.
Now listen. Even if it's true, and Pac did write you and propose to you, why are you telling that now? Why are you telling it? Do you have proof? Motherfuckers could say you lying. People could say you clout chasing. Under the circumstances, some people would believe it. But secondly, she comes out and says that Pac was bald because he had alopecia too.
Oh yeah. I see that.
Are you serious? Are you serious? Okay, here's what I know, and I'm no hair specialist. Pac in the 91 movie Juice, full head of hair, no signs of a receding hairline, etc. Then he had another rap video pretty soon after that where he had a full head of hair. Then yes, he was bald. But I never seen any signs of a receding hairline, which makes me think she's a liar. Now, the real question is this. Do you guys see how she's doing Will Smith?
Yeah.
Doing him greasy right now.
Man, we ain't been together for 7 years, and I was surprised when he stood up and called me his wife. Again, even if that's true, why would you? That just makes Will look horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, to me it don't.
Nah,
To me it makes him look like he loves his wife.
Well, I think it makes him look better in a sense.
Right.
It makes her look worse. Way worse.
Yes.
Every time she talks, it just seems like she's saying some weird shit.
It's literally pure evil every time.
It's like she's a demon lady. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't want to get too deep into judging how another couple raises their children. But to me, there was signs of the dysfunction in their family when their son Jaden came out wearing a freaking sundress.
Right,
Okay?
right.
And look, I don't know if y'all heard this story. This bothered me deeply. Jaden and his sister Willow admitted to this. They said that they had an agreement amongst them when they were young teens. They said, we've got a big impact on society, on society's youth. We're very influential, so let's fuck with them. Let's start dressing and wearing lipstick and doing crazy stuff and see if we can get everybody to follow our lead. They said they performed an experiment on society. And that's just weird.
Yeah, that's
just crazy.
Sociopathic behavior.
Like,
what that is.
Who does that? You know, so that, when I heard that, I was like, what is going on within this family? It seems like they're a little detached from reality. Then you hear Will and Jada's discussions about how they discipline and raise their children, and you're looking at them, look, I'm nobody to judge how you raise your children. But we can't help but observe it when you're putting it out in the public.
Well, especially if you're as big of a celebrity as that.
Yeah.
It's not like he's just some dude on Netflix or
No,
something.
it's Will Smith.
Yeah, this is one of the biggest movie stars currently. Now let me ask you guys. Jada's your wife, how do you react to all this?
I'm out of there.
You're gone?
I gotta do more
As
than
simple
like
as
I'm
that.
so petty.
He hasn't filed any papers, has he?
I think that he don't want to do any of that because the kids are in the middle. and he feels like if there's some lawsuit and some big falling out, it's going to traumatize the kids. Whether that's true or not, I think that's what Will's thinking.
You see where she said too though? She's like, oh, I'm gonna have to. She said, what was it? I'm gonna have to come back and take care of him when he's old. That's what she said. I'm gonna have to come back and take. And she wants to.
She's a lunatic.
She is crazy.
The kids are already getting traumatized.
They are.
What Jada's saying.
That's a good point.
They said too that Chris Rock had actually asked her out on a date during.
I seen that. I seen
believe
that.
it?
So that I kind of do because you think about Will's reaction to Chris. Then you kind of put two and two together.
Yeah.
Maybe he's like, oh, wait a minute. This motherfucker asked my wife out when we were going through hard times. He needs to shut the fuck up.
Now he up here clowning.
Right.
On top of
So it kind of does make sense, but I feel for Will Smith because what I see in him is a man who loves his family, who values his marriage, and wants things to work. And I see a dragon lady trying to literally humiliate him.
It
You
just
think
went so downhill so fast.
Yeah.
Quickly.
You think he would have slapped Mike Tyson if he was up there?
Oh, hell.
We know the answer to that, I don't think he would have even said anything. He'd be like, Mike, I agree, But yeah, Will, listen, brother, you a catch, you're a superstar, you're an icon. Other than that, you're filthy rich. You can do better. I know you got the kids between y'all, but at some point you got to step away, my brother, for your own sanity and for your self-respect. Totally off subject. You guys may have heard of this, but I'm going to show you. The real life Clayton Bigsby. Do you guys know who Clayton Bigsby is? So you guys haven't seen the Boondocks. You haven't seen Dave Chappelle, excuse me. So Clayton Bigsby was a skit that makes me laugh thinking about it, but
Is
it's
it like
not.
Uncle Ruckus?
Yes. It's exactly like Uncle Ruckus. So,
Alright, yeah,
Clayton Bigsby was a blind black dude who didn't know he was black, who supported the Klan, so on and so forth. And the joke was that he was married to a white woman, so on and so forth. And finally, when he found out he was black, he divorced his wife for being an N-word lover. Okay?
Oh my God.
Okay, well, so we've got the real
Hey,
life.
that's real loyalty though, right? Like if you're gonna stand on something, stand all the way.
I mean, he stood tall on that
He
shit.
said, look,
Yeah,
I'm gonna stand on this. So.
Yeah, but now, the real life Clayton Bigsby, I'm familiar with this clown. He goes around wearing Confederate flags and fighting with other black people and liberals, saying, nothing wrong with the Confederate flag. What's your problem? I'm a black man wearing this, blah, blah, blah. Now, if you listen to him talk, he's clearly not an intelligent person, okay?
Right. That sounds like some mental health.
Yeah, that's some Patty Hearst type behavior,
Right.
where he's definitely in the mind of a captive that don't know he's a captive. But let me say this first: if you want to support the Confederate flag, that's your business. Fair enough, but don't act shocked when other black people and other minorities call you an idiot. Young men, what do y'all know about the Confederate flag? I want honest thoughts here. When you hear Confederate flag, what do y'all think?
Well, I definitely think racism.
Redneck.
I mean, look, and it probably didn't stem that way. I don't know the full history behind it.
I'm gonna give you the history after, but I want to hear honest things.
I'm
I
not
just
gonna.
feel like it said they supported slavery, didn't they?
Okay, so I'm gonna break it down. They did.
Virginia, one of those states too.
Yeah.
There's a big, yes, Virginia is. There's a myth. Well, the Confederate capital was Richmond.
Oh, but yeah.
Okay,
Hey, and I'll just real quick. You wouldn't believe that now. Like if you go walk around Harrisonburg.
No, it's very diverse.
I see.
Go walk around Richmond too, like
Super
I
diverse.
see more Hispanic and black people than I do white folk a lot of the time, anyways.
Well,
So-
Virginia now has shifted. Okay, it's more of a liberal state to a degree. But let me say this: lovers of the Confederate flag have tried to do revisionist history. Y'all know what revisionist history is? It's where you take a known incident from the past, and because it's been so far away, you just change the details.
That sounds like most textbooks nowadays.
Right, okay? Here's the facts. The fact is, the Confederate flag was flown by the Confederate Army. It's like this. A lot of times the arguments I get is they fought for state rights. They did. The state's right to own slaves. That was the right they were fighting for. If you go look, there's something called succession letters. Do any of you Confederate flag supporters know what a succession letter was? I'll tell you. A succession letter is the letter that the state of South Carolina, etc., wrote to the U.S. government saying, we no longer want to be a part of the United States. Here's why. And they listed in those succession letters their reasons for succeeding. In almost every succession letter, guess what was number one? Slavery.
I actually remember that specific part of the state succeeding and everything. That's crazy as hell.
Yeah, so, look, I had a woman on my friends list. She was actually the wife of one of our most prominent fighters from the beginning of Street Beefs. I love the fighter. He's a great guy, great person. His wife was a fucking batshit crazy lunatic. And she got into wanting to support the Confederate flag. Okay, cool. When I see that shit on Facebook, I'm not going to jump on you and argue about it. That's your business, as long as you ain't putting it in my face. Yeah. But that was her problem. She started tagging me to it and trying to convince me. And I said, lady, listen.
Yo, that's bold, too.
You played yourself. Because I broke down all this info. And the fact is, this black dude, everything he's saying is false and it's wrong. It's wrong. Okay? If you just want to say, here's the only argument you can make. The Civil War was a long time ago. I don't hold this flag for that reason. That's the only argument you can make. But even then, it's a bad argument because anybody that knows history, they immediately associate that flag with racism. Now, here's what I'm going to say to y'all. Some of them say, well, it's heritage, not hate. It's the South's heritage of resistance. That's why I love this flag. It's not because of the racism. Okay.
You're saying the same thing about Germany.
That's right. Look. Right.
It's actually the same thing.
Son, you're right on
the
point.
Exact same thing.
Because I'm going to get to it. In Germany, they banned swastikas and any Nazi paraphernalia. Now, do you think that there's not people who are ancestors of Nazi soldiers who don't want to say, well, look, I'm just honoring my granddad. He fought and died in Germany, blah, blah, blah. No. Germany said, we don't care. This is a symbol of hate. We're banning this shit. It's out. Okay? Last thing I'm going to say to you.
Good for Germany, by the way. Good for them.
That's right. They took a good stand.
Good for them.
Now, if right now, and people, I can promise you on what I'm about to say. If I had this Nike symbol, and suddenly it started coming out that a race of people all over the world, or all over the country, were hurt by that and offended by it, I wouldn't give a fuck why I'm wearing it. I'm taking it off. I don't want to wear it and have motherfuckers thinking I'm hateful. No.
Well, you see, speaking of Nike, actually, the Colin Kaepernick thing.
Yep.
Motherfuckers just over him kneeling. That was all it took for him to go out, and they were burning their shoes and burning their clothes and all this other stuff.
Well, let me tell you, before we get to the next subject, I'm going to tell you how contradictory and ridiculous the Confederate flag supporters are. Check it. They come to black people all the time and they say, slavery was over 200 years ago. Let it go. Yet they want to support a symbol that was of an army that was defeated over 200 years ago. Let that go. They want to fight, They want to fight statues. They want to fight about statues that were of defeated soldiers from 200 years ago. You talk about letting the past go. Maybe you should let go of all those symbols of the past. Just saying.
You know, the rap group Outcast has actually lasted longer than the Confederacy did.
Yeah, they got that ass whooped.
That's another L.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Was it 7 years? Something like that?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, something like
that. It was very brief.
Outcast still going strong today.
They are. Shout out to Outcast. You know what I thought you was going to say, though? Outcast, surprisingly. Let me make sure it was Outcast. No, excuse me. It was Little John and the East Siders. Once took a picture holding the Confederate flag, and I was pissed off. I was like, yo, what the fuck? Then they did the article. They said, no, we taken this from them. This ours now. Okay, so that's all it's
Hey,
all right.
it's our shit. Huh?
Right. Let's talk about another uncomfortable subject that's outside of our borders. The war in Israel and Palestine. And they said our president of the United States of Israel has sent U.S. orders deployed to help with genocide holy war. Now look, I'm not going to get into that. I don't know what that is because it was posted by a rapper who follows me and I follow him, and sometimes he's borderline. I'll say this. Guys, how much do y'all know about what's going on?
I've been trying to keep up with it. And
I'm
regrettably,
in a
I've
little
seen.
Telegram and I see a bunch of this information about it.
Yeah.
So
Just
did you
to
see,
keep up with it.
did any of y'all see where Hamas, you know who Hamas is?
Right.
And, they're, I guess, militants of Palestine had went, I suppose, to Israel territory and supposedly started killing families. That was the rumor.
That's what they.
Yeah.
Now, it came out, because first they said they were beheading babies, which we proved was not true.
Right.
But people came out and was lashing out, Palestine is no better than Israel, etc., etc. Okay? Do you guys have any thoughts? And don't be afraid, look, this is a talk show. And your guys are young, you're learning. But what are y'all's thoughts on it, if any? Do you have any thoughts?
I just want them to stop all this combat.
I want to elaborate
I'm
on
not
that.
on either side.
I
I just want this to stop.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I fucked around and seen some videos from over there, and one of them was this missile. I'm not gonna get into too much detail, but you know what it is.
I know what you're talking about.
They hit this neighborhood or this
Yeah.
community. And it's just
My
terrible,
goodness.
man. How could you really be okay with something like that?
I seen another video. I can't remember if they were Israeli or Palestinian. It was a father and a son. The son was all burned up. I mean, he got burned up bad, dude. He was worse than me, and I got burned bad. And he was laying in a hospital bed about to die, and his dad was crying. And he was like, "Dad, don't cry. It's going to be okay. I love you." Most heartbreaking thing you've ever seen. And let me reiterate, I don't know which side that was, and I don't care. Like my son said, I just want to see it stop. It's the very definition of a holy war. Those people have been fighting forever. But at some point, you gotta sit and say, we're not getting nowhere. People are dying. This is ugly and evil. We don't want to live in war. What's the point of carrying it on?
Well, I was gonna say all war is pointless. I think
It is. It
there's
is.
really not a war I can name that was.
All I can say is this, it's one thing if right now we heard the U.S. was invaded and we all picked up arms to defend our country. That's okay, that's honorable. Short of that, war is old men sending young men just like y'all to die, okay? And that's why I don't respect it, because it's always, the call to war is always some guy my age, or usually even way older than me, saying, yep, let's send our troops over there. And the troops are y'all's age. It's a bunch of young men and women sent to the slaughterhouse, right? And it's usually on some BS. The Vietnam War, we won't get too deep into, but my dad used to always lecture me on that and tell me how bad it was and how wrong it was. And, I can't really think of a war per se that was super justified.
No.
Even when the towers collapsed, we go over and bomb Iraq and Saddam Hussein. They weren't even the ones that did 9/11.
We had a plan to take out 7 countries in 5 years, right after 9/11.
And you think...
we would have too. We are the best.
Yeah, no. Well, he stands on that. And look, I stand on that. America's military, people always say, why does America need the military might that it has? Here's what I say to you, okay? There's an old saying, an armed society is a polite society. And people are like, well, what does that mean? Let me tell you. If you walk into a bar with a gun on your hip, and you see that every other mofo in there has a gun on their hip and knows how to use it, you gonna chill. Everybody's gonna chill. Because everybody knows, well, shit, I start shooting, everybody's gonna shoot, we all getting shot up. Okay? America has the best weapons systems on earth, the best trained military, and it's just sitting there like, look, we will fuck you up.
The U.S. is the best at everything.
You know, and I think because you guys know that America is not super well liked in the international community. We don't know that. A lot of young people don't know that because we think America is great. I do. I love what we stand for. I love our freedom. But a lot of countries see us as something we're not, and they don't like us.
Yeah, a lot of people hate
See,
us.
I feel like it's a lot of jealousy.
I agree. I think the wealth and the prosperity of America is a part of it. But I do think also culture. I think a lot of these countries don't believe in living flashy. Like, for example, the cars we got parked outside right now, the house we're in, people would see us as living over the top just for that, okay? They believe you should live humbly. So they see Americans with jewelry and cars and houses, and they think that we're arrogant and we're living outside of God's will, be it one God or another. So, you know, I say this, if you're out there, America's not as bad as you think. There's some great people in this country. There's some people that love the next man and just want to help. If you think that it's full of evil, you got it wrong. Just say that. So I got one more, then we're going to go to y'all's. This is kind of funny. Kind of not. So Joe Exotic, you guys know who Joe Exotic is?
Tiger King?
Yeah.
The Tiger King, okay? I watched the docu when it came out. How many of you remember when that first came out? It was like
It was
a
everywhere.
runaway
Biggest
train.
thing
It was
ever,
everywhere.
Yes.
basically.
Memes.
Yeah.
Kind of
It's
stuff.
everywhere.
I personally feel like Joe Exotic got screwed when he got sent to prison. I almost would go so far as to say he got framed by that dude. I think his name's Chris or something.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So, but regardless, Carol Baskin, we know the story of the lady he was beefing with, and Joe Exotic posted on his Instagram today saying Carol Baskin's missing husband has been found.
Wow.
you know.
Yo, he roasted her.
You know. So let me ask y'all this: you guys heard those? Did everybody here watch Tiger King?
I watched some of it.
Some of it.
I'm not gonna lie, I watched.
You guys know who Carol Baskin was?
I know.
Yeah.
I know the storyline.
And you know that it's alleged that she killed her husband.
Right.
Do y'all think she did?
Kinda.
Kinda.
Yeah, I do.
No,
I
I'll be
do.
honest.
I you know. Look, though, she hasn't been convicted, right?
She ain't been convicted. She ain't even been charged.
So I mean,
But here's what I'll say. I don't want to cut you off, but I want to say this. Look, when I first heard that supposedly she killed her husband and fed him to the tigers, I said, this is preposterous. This is something for the show. They're trying to hype it up. BS. Then I looked into the story. And when you look into her husband's disappearance, there's a lot of shit that don't add up, y'all. There's a lot of stuff that don't add up.
she definitely fed that man to that tiger.
You know, if she didn't feed him to the tiger, he's buried somewhere. But I think she killed him. I do. And meanwhile, everybody knows somebody like Carol Baskin, okay? Carol Baskin, if y'all don't know the story, Joe Exotic was known for bringing baby tigers and other felines to the malls and having people pet them, etc. He's making a lot of money off of it. Carol Baskin from another state hated on that. She was like, this ain't right. It's inhumane, blah, blah, blah. So she led this campaign to destroy him and succeeded. Then it comes out, her care of her animals is no better. It's pretty fucked too, but she's not really suffering because of it. So I'll just ask y'all this. Do y'all think Joe deserves to be in jail? Honestly, of what you know of the situation.
I don't believe so.
No.
Do you think he was framed? Or do you think it was just a minimal charge?
I don't think it was minimal.
So,
I think there might have been some shadiness behind that whole thing.
so Justice, did you hear about the plot for the murder? Do you know anything about it? Okay. So real quick, long story short, there was this other dude, Jeff was his name, not Chris, Jeff. This other goofball comes into the picture and supposedly owns a piece of Tiger King's stuff. He claims that Tiger King paid him X amount of dollars to hire somebody else to go kill Carol Baskins. If you listen to the plot, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And the only ones making the accusation is Jeff and the other guy, who both stood to gain by Tiger King being locked up.
Right.
So I think it was a case of, and he got like 20-some years. They lit his ass up.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I think it was sad. I won't linger on this subject since they're not well versed on it. But I do think, free Tiger King, man. Come on, let the guy out. He's getting old and tired. So my son Nate, I gotta let him lead off because once in a while he finds these hidden gems, and when he does, they never cease to amaze me. What do you got here?
Okay, so there was this lady, right? So imagine you're getting married.
Right?
Probably the time of your life.
Should be.
And you don't expect people to come to your wedding that you don't trust.
Never.
So what had happened is there was a lady, right, that was dubbed a serial wedding crasher.
What?
She went to weddings in different states, ate their cake, stole their gifts,
What?
stole their cash, all that, and just did. And they actually, and believe it or not, she was caught at the last wedding by a friend of the bride while eating some cake, and that's what led to her downfall. She's been doing it for years. She's gotten charged with it before and everything. Crashing weddings, stealing gifts, eating the food. It's so crazy.
That's okay. So you may say to yourself, how could she get away with that? But think about it. Actually, it's a pretty easy crime. You go into a wedding. I assume, I'll bet you what she was doing was looking to find the biggest wedding she could find.
Yeah.
You go in there, the groom and his family may be looking at her like, well, who is she? Well, maybe she's her family or her friend. Then the wife and her family, well, who is she? Well, maybe she's the groom's friend. And nobody really knows if she's supposed to be there, but nobody's going to go to the extreme of calling her out about it, right?
She went from Mississippi to Alabama to Tennessee to do this, and she was going through their purses and everything at these weddings.
Damn!
Like, she was scoring.
So what kind of charges did she get?
She got a grand larceny charge, disturbing the peace, and trespassing.
Wowzers. I wonder if they're going to investigate her for the other cases.
Well, she had already got locked up and gotten charges for it and stuff. So they've been on to her for a while, And
Look, man, there's no creativity like the creativity of a criminal.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
I'm just telling you, if you think about some of the crimes that are out there, it gets crazy, dude. Like, there was a dude, and I'll fudge some of these details, but he would go each year and get the social security numbers of people who had died as babies.
oh, shit.
Take those socials and build a whole identity out of them. This dude was getting houses, cars. He would get a house, he would purchase it through credit, then sell the house and get a big down payment for $100K, run off with that. This dude was just killing the game. And you gotta ask yourself, how the fuck did he even think of this? Where did this come from?
There was something very similar to that. A lady that was a manager at this fast food restaurant had created, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yep.
She made up an employee and clocked it in and out and was taking the money from the paychecks.
Heard that. I heard that. Hey, there's several jobs that have done that where they were stealing customer credit card numbers, employee pay.
I know you're not going to get away with that, though. There's a whole computer system keeping track of it.
Man, people, listen, desperate times, desperate measures, desperate people, Got the World Swings Back coming at y'all. Nate's segment. Sometimes the world knocks all the fronts out. You got to be ready for it. Tell me what you got.
Well, in this case, it's pretty terrible. He was a boat captain.
Okay.
So he went out and did these, there's charters, but I think it was smaller ones.
Right.
But anyways, he was fishing. He was in his 50s, and it was in Hawaii. He was another day, to him at least. So he hooked something, right? And it's big. He's fighting with it and everything. So he's like, man, I better try to go in there and see what I can do, right?
Right.
So he actually jumps in the water to see what's on the line. It was a swordfish.
Oh.
And it impaled him in the chest when he jumped into the water to try to retrieve it. So he deceased.
Oh.
So
When did this happen? recently?
Yeah,
or-
it was recently. It was only a few years ago.
So I gotta say this, as a fisherman.
2015 is when that happened.
Okay, look, I won't purport that I've ever caught whales, anything like that. I will say this. On a recent trip to Myrtle Beach with my family, I was at a pier called Apache Pier, and I started hooking into these sharks. Listen, I upgraded my tackle, I upgraded my line, my hooks. These were about 6 foot, 7 foot sharks, probably 250 pounds. The power of them, I can't even explain it. The one time that I actually was able to grab my reel after I hooked it, it just snapped my pole. It was like a toothpick. So, a giant swordfish, they get fucking 1,000 pounds.
Well, you know, this one was actually a small one. Believe it or not, it was 40 pounds.
Oh my God!
It was 6 feet long, and they said 3 feet of that was his bill, right? His sword. So what had happened was basically it had gotten tangled around something on the boat.
I just can't understand why he would have jumped into the water. That just
Well, it got tangled up, so I think he went in there to try to get the line off or something. And I don't think he jumped in and it impaled him. I think what had happened was when he jumped in, it swam at him and it got him. And then it started thrashing all around and shit.
I do understand jumping in to try to untangle the line, but what I'm saying is this. He said he didn't know what was snagged.
Yeah.
But if you got a 16-foot great white on the line, you know, come on.
Yeah.
Before we go into sports, let me tell you, the story that sends chills down my spine as far as fishing goes. 2 older men, they were both in their 60s. I can't remember where this occurred, but look it up. Fishing for tuna. Now, those that know tuna, bluefin tuna can get big. I mean big, okay? So, they're out fishing in the deep sea, and his rod bends in half. He grabs a rod. He had a harness. Now, a lot of harnesses are to a seat. You're strapped to a seat, and you're locked in. That's what I had when I caught the Goliath grouper. This was a harness that's strapped to his waist and is supposed to hook to a piece of the boat. He didn't hook it to the piece of the boat. So he had his pole hooked to his harness with nothing attaching him to the boat. He gets up, and this gigantic bluefin tuna takes him overboard. That was it. He was never seen again. The last words he said is, "Sonny, this is something big." Boom. So I tell my wife all the time, it haunts me to think that somewhere there's a bluefin tuna swimming around with a dead body attached to it. Unless it got tangled up or sharks got it, but still pretty eerie
I
to
say
think
the
of.
pole and everything is still hooked, and that's terrible, man.
Terrible, man. Terrible.
And the fact that he said that they know what his last words, but that always haunts me.
Yeah. I'll say this, though, and then we got to go into sports. If I had to go, if I had to pick a way to go, hooking into a monster fish and knowing that I caught the fish of my life, I don't know. But I don't think I'd like to drown. So.
No, I actually heard it's pretty peaceful.
Well, yeah.
They do say that believe it or not.
Well, think about it. You're going to take, you may hold your breath 15 seconds.
And then after that's it.
Once you've taken that that water, you're going unconscious pretty quick. We are not advocating anybody trying it. Be clear.
Yeah, don't go drown yourself at your house.
Please. This is going to be a shorter sports segment today because we have ran well over time. Crazy week of the NFL, in my opinion. Let's start with the fact that the only 2 undefeated teams in the NFL lost this week. Yeah. They lost. Okay. Both were in the NFC, the 49ers and the Eagles. And what's probably mind-boggling to me is that the teams they lost to
were not okay.
Not that good.
They weren't killers.
No.
Okay.
You got Cleveland who beat San Francisco.
Right. Cleveland beat San Francisco, which Cleveland's in our division, but we beat the brakes off
I feel
Cleveland.
like they're the worst. Aren't they? Don't they have the worst record?
Cincy. Well, no, they're tied now. They're both 3-3. So Cincy and Cleveland, look, we smashed them, beat them down, and we're a little bit inconsistent right now.
Why are the Bengals always so bad?
I don't know.
They had that one
They
year.
had
didn't
that
they?
1 year.
Yep.
They went to the Super Bowl. and
Well,
lost.
I never hear anything good.
That's why they're called the Bungles. The Bungles, homie.
Devil nerd.
But now, who did Philly lose to?
The Jets.
The Jets. I want to talk about that.
They was
Rodgers,
real
that-
excited about that 49ers
defense
game
is
until they
electric.
came around.
Their
They
defense
lost
is
too.
special.
Listen, the 49ers, let me let y'all know something.
Gotta be humble, man.
Before the season, when they signed Aaron Rodgers, I was looking at the preseason power rankings. The Jets were in the top 3 every time. I was like, how is this? They got Aaron Rodgers. He's old. Well,
See why?
their defense is stacked. It's
They
scary.
got the best corner in the game right now.
Sauce.
Sauce Gardner.
That
Yeah.
boy is tough.
That boy is tough.
I wanted to draft him when he came out. They got our boy C.J. Mosley.
Yeah.
He's been to several Pro Bowls with the Jets. But they're stacked. They got a pair of brothers on defense. Yeah, so it's the Williams brothers, Quinnen and Quincy, up there with the Jets, playing very good. Both of them, I believe, had big plays in that game versus the Eagles. Look, I still feel like the Eagles are the favorites in the NFC. I want to pat myself on the shoulder real quick. I kept saying every week when people said San Francisco, San Francisco, San Francisco, that I felt like their eventual Achilles heel would be the fact that Brock Purdy was a young quarterback. Now, I was mistaken because I kept calling him a rookie. This is his second year, but it's his first year as a starter. Well, he looked terrible. Terrible this week against the Browns. I mean, awful. I think he had like 115 yards. Just looked awful, okay? Now, could be an aberration. Maybe it was one game, so on and so forth. But I think that when they get against the better teams in the playoffs, him being a rookie or a young quarterback could hurt them. In other news, our Ravens, I feel all snuggly and warm. I want to tell y'all why. The Titans, I know you remember, a few years back, our 2019 season, them mofos had a lot to say. They beat us in the playoffs. They wanted to mock Lamar and Mark Ingram. They wanted to talk trash. They wanted to dance on our logo, okay? Then we bounced them from the playoffs, I want to say 21. And they got mad about that. Fast forward, here we are again. Yeah, I don't know if you've seen the hit where Ryan got bounced from the game. Okay, our young safety, who's going to be a thoroughbred, had a helmet-to-helmet hit on a receiver. I don't feel like it was so bad that he should have been ejected. He didn't have any other personal fouls that game. They immediately ejected Ryan Hamilton from the game, kicked him out, which blew my mind. I've never seen that be done before. Y'all feel like the NFL's getting a little softer?
Definitely.
Of course.
Definitely. Didn't they change? They changed because I don't
They
keep
changed
up.
a lot of rules.
They changed the way you could tackle and shit, right?
You can
Well,
only
yeah.
hit, like,
Especially
the
for a
middle
quarterback.
right here.
Even if you fall on top of them as you're sacking them, it's a flag.
Yeah.
Oh, for real?
Oh, it's went crazy.
Yeah, they definitely got a little bit softer.
Look, I'll say this, guys, and then we'll get into boxing, and then we're going to wrap it. Look, the NFL back in the day, especially the 70s and 80s, a safety's job was to decapitate a receiver who dared to hold on to the football.
Death is optional.
So, what I mean is this. You got a receiver running downfield, and he jumps up, and he actually makes the play even though there's a corner here. The safety's job is to take his head off, decapitate him, make him drop the ball. And that was applauded. Now, in this day and age, that's exactly what Ryan Hamilton did. And he got kicked out of the game. He's going to get a hefty fine. And there was even people talking about suspending him.
That's crazy.
I wish you could still like
Imagine
hit
if
like that.
Yeah.
Imagine if hockey started doing
It
some
reminds
shit
me
like
of Sean Taylor back in the day. I always used to watch highlights
Sean
of him.
Taylor was a
He
dog.
would kill anybody who had the ball. You're dead.
Didn't he have that big hit in the Pro Bowl against Brady?
I know what
Yeah.
you're talking about.
I mean, look, it's taking the fun out of the game because I always enjoyed defense. We're Ravens fans. We enjoy defense, hard hitting, and it's an element of the game to intimidate. All right, Sean Taylor, who my son Justice brought up, was known as a great intimidator.
Wait, so Brian Dawkins, dude?
Brian Dawkins,
Nuts.
a great intimidator.
Ed Reed, we might as well.
Ed Reed, Palamalu.
Chancellor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were known in that backfield as intimidators. If you dare to catch the ball, we're taking you out. And they're taking that away. But even Ray Lewis, go look up Ray Lewis's greatest hits. There was one on a Jets tight end. I want to say
He was a hard hitter, man.
Facts.
That dude would kill you.
Ray Lewis hit this Jets tight end. I thought he killed him. He hit another running back for the Steelers. Dude came out the hole. Ray hit him heads on, broke his shoulder clavicle, punished him, get him off the field. And that was part of football, okay? Now it's turning, pretty soon, I think, it's going to turn into flag football. That's my opinion. You know, there was huge, but we got to end with the boxing.
Boxing is so annoying.
Let's
It's
talk
so
about the
annoying.
misfits.
Let's talk
I'm
about
tired of it.
Bro, chill.
Nah, that's the name. Like,
yeah,
I know,
Logan
yeah,
Paul,
I know.
yeah, the real
I just
misfits.
thought that was funny.
The real misfits.
I don't know what's real at this point.
So look, I want to talk about Dylan Dennis. I don't like dude. Okay, go. Do any of y'all know who Dylan Dennis is?
Yeah,
I didn't even
yeah.
know him before the Logan
Me
Paul.
neither.
I
Okay.
think he was gonna. I think he knew he was gonna lose that fight.
And he tried to cause a D.
Yeah, to cause a DQ just to get out of there.
Listen, I knew Dylan Dennis. His antics are ridiculous. If you go follow him, he goes on any post you can think of. Jake Paul, Spider Silva, Conor McGregor. If I was there, I'd have fucked you up. That's what he does.
Oh, he's that guy.
He's that guy.
Oh.
He does it constantly. This guy, did you guys hear about the bouncer incident?
I
He
think I know.
got choked out by a random ass bouncer.
Oh, yeah, he
Yeah,
bounced
yeah, he did.
Yeah.
he did.
Yeah.
That was hilarious.
Choked him. Okay. Now,
Hey, that bouncer was on his job though. Shout out that bouncer.
Facts.
as far as Jake Paul goes, or excuse me, Logan Paul, I'm not super mad at it. He beat him. It was a boring fight, but I felt like Logan did what he could do with a guy who kept hugging. I felt
Yeah,
like Dennis
yeah.
kept hugging, you know. Did anybody get their money's worth? I don't know.
I definitely wouldn't have paid for that.
I feel like
Yeah,
a bunch of these
I feel
casuals,
sorry
they're
for
paying
you.
attention
Yeah,
to the
crazy.
wrong side of boxing.
Well, they
They're
are.
paying attention to these Tommy Fury and KSI fights.
Yeah, well, we
That
got.
That one was even worse. That was even worse.
Well, we're going to talk about that before we wrap up.
Yeah.
Listen, you're right. You casual fans, go watch a Bud Crawford match. Go watch Tank. Go watch Canelo. These guys you're watching are okay boxers, but they're not the cream of the crop when it comes to boxing. Which brings me to number 2, KSI versus Tommy Fury. Okay? That right there, KSI, look, bro, no disrespect. I've watched your YouTube channel, but for you to come out and claim you won that fight is ridiculous. Did you guys watch that fight?
He was hugging the whole
Yeah,
time.
yeah. I did. I watched
I mean,
it.
There was like 12 clinches.
they
Yeah.
should have minus more
Wow.
points than gave.
Now, Dylan Dennis was bad because I think they said he was averaging like 7 punches a round,
You know
which
he
he just...
threw more punches at the security.
Yeah,
He
he
threw more
basically did.
punches.
KSI was hugging a lot, but he at least threw a little more.
Yeah, but
But
Tommy Fury came out and was throwing basic jabs and stuff and stuff
Yeah.
in the fight.
I just, it was, to me, disappointing. And I think, you know, when they say this hurts boxing, shows like this can hurt boxing. And this is why. A bunch of people tune in that are on the fence. Oh, I don't know, maybe I'm going to get into boxing. Then they see a mess like that.
Yeah.
Oh, this sucks. They don't realize, dude, there's great fights out there. If you're a boxing fan on the fence who's not sure if you want to watch the sport, go watch Triple G versus Canelo. Go watch the old school Tommy Hearns versus Hagler, Foreman versus Ron Lau. You'll love the sport, you know. But these guys, they weren't there to give you a show. They were there to squeak out a win, and that's disappointing. Listen, I'm starving. I'm sure the boys are starving. We had a hard workout today. We're going to wrap it up early. Hey, y'all, please share, spread the word about us, Swing at the World. Tell everybody, tell us what we can do better. Tell us what you like. Give us your input. We will listen. Sometimes the world swings, so sometimes we got to swing at the world. We love y'all. We will be back soon. Peace. Peace.